Hey there, welcome to Authentically Raw. I'm your host, Jamie Berris. Confession, I've been thinking of another man lately, and his name is Paul Harvey. Does anyone remember Paul Harvey? We will call it talk radio, but I grew up listening to Paul Harvey. I can picture myself in my parents' car, in my grandparents' house. There was always a radio. I was around talk radio a lot. I picture myself in so many places listening to Paul Harvey. He had the most soothing voice that I could get swept away in, mesmerized by his stories. He would start out with his story, and then there would be a break because, of course, we would have commercial breaks or whatever kind of a break it was. And we everything wasn't instant then. But he would always say, before he left for break, in a moment, the rest of the story. And then he'd come back and he would share the rest of the story. And then at the end, he would always say, now you know the rest of the story. And for all of you Paul Harvey fans, in the most soothing voice, he would end every show. Paul Harvey, good day. Oh, he passed, I believe, in 2009. And I can remember, I would have been 30-something at the time, feeling like a piece of my childhood had also passed away with him. I think I resonate with Paul Harvey so much because I've always been such a deep thinker and I love to hear stories. I love to read fiction. I kind of laugh because I have a friend that can read a fiction book in about 5 hours and it takes me 5 weeks. And we laugh because I am soaking up every detail. I have to get every picture in my head of every scene. If I don't have it right, I have to go back and reread the paragraph and get exactly how the air felt on her skin. Wait, what color were her eyes? What did her face do? Ugh. Anyway, I kind of laugh because I keep trying to think, why is Paul Harvey on my mind lately? Like, what is this trying to tell me? Do you ever get something in your head and, it's like a reflection from your past? And I feel it comes at these odd times and you ask yourself, why? Why not? Like, what is this trying to tell me? Why am I thinking of Paul Harvey's stories and his voice and everything so much? And the more I started to think about it, I'm like, he was a podcaster before his time. And I almost started to picture myself as a little girl sitting in the car. Or honestly, I can even picture myself in high school and in early college. I had a job at a local apple orchard, Robinette's. And by the way, I was head donut maker there. Thank you. But I can remember going in early, making the donuts, and the owners, which were older. Actually, they were probably only 60. I was a teenager, so of course they felt really old to me. But they would have Paul Harvey playing in the area where we baked things. And I can remember all my teenage friends rolling their eyes and, wanting to have music on, and honestly, secretly loving it. I loved hearing the stories. So I can even picture myself there making the donuts, making the lunches, or preparing and getting lunches ready, listening to Paul Harvey. I am going somewhere with this story. But I also remember a time in high school, in the morning, we always had to listen to the radio, and I loved the talking in the radio in the morning. That there's usually 2 or 3 radio hosts on in the morning, and every 10 minutes you'd hear one song. And I can remember my friend complaining one time in the morning she can't stand to listen to the radio, has to put in a cassette tape. We finally switched to CDs, I think, somewhere in there, maybe, but she hated it, wanted to listen to the music. And I always thought, no, I love listening to people just talk in the morning. And I specifically remember, I didn't plan on bringing this up, but it popped in my head. Michelle McCormick is a local radio host. I think she's still on to this day, but listening to her, and again, something about her voice, her straightforward points, I can Remember just soaking it all up. So where I am going with this is I've been thinking a lot lately about how we need to reflect back to get direction on where we need to go forward. Like when we feel this nudge inside of us to move forward. And I feel so often we're looking outside of us for answers. We're asking people, we're looking for signs that are like visible from the outside world, or someone's just going to tell us, okay, here's the right path to take. I see your future. This is what you should do. And we ignore all of the signs inside of us. And if you know me, if you follow me on Instagram, I'm a huge quote junkie. And just the other day, I posted a quote that said, there is more wisdom in your body than in your deepest thoughts. Listen to your gut. And I didn't even realize it at the time, but this morning I had this aha moment. There's more wisdom in my body and in my deep thoughts, right? Listen to your gut. And Paul Harvey just popped right in again. And every day I have been thinking of, which route is this podcast going to take? And I'm having a hard time because I'm listening to everything outside of me. I'm listening to other podcasts. I'm like, oh, I love how they're going. I need to talk more about that or this style. Or someone suggests, hey, I love this podcast. You should do this or you should do that. All great things. Don't get me wrong. And I know everyone that has some advice or a suggestion. I know these people. It comes from a fantastic place of love. But you've got to feel your own thing. You know when something is right for you. You know when something's wrong for you. You know when you're headed in the right direction, but you're still just missing your mark, or something's missing. Something's just not quite there. And it dawned on me. I've been thinking of Paul Harvey lately because I like to tell stories. I am a deep thinker. And every time I feel kind of choked, I don't know what to say, it's because I'm not going inward. I'm not thinking about what comes natural, what comes easy. And maybe as that little girl, that was my obsession with Paul Harvey. This was going to be my influencer. No, I don't turn to social media for my influencers. I guess I went inward. I went back and reflected back on my childhood. And he's my influencer for this podcast. Crazy as this seems. So my question is for you, where in your life do you feel you need to move forward, but you're uncertain? Is there any way you can go inward and think back to, it doesn't necessarily have to be childhood. Maybe it's just 5 years ago. Maybe it's 10 years ago. But really go in and listen to your gut. Listen to your intuition. And if you really want to get good, I say it's your inner wisdom. Like, give yourself some credit. Your body knows. It feels it. It senses it. And sometimes, just like Paul Harvey, we need to take a break and tell ourselves, in a moment, the rest of the story. Allow the story to unfold inside of yourself first. And then you could go outward and write the next line, the next chapter. You can write a whole series based on what you want your story to look like, how you're going to tell it. So, as always, I'm rooting for you. Be real, be raw, be authentic. Thank you so much for being here as we kick off this podcast together. I really appreciate you joining me on this journey because I'm well aware you could be doing or listening to anything right now. Hey, if you enjoy the Authentically Raw content, please support the show by following, rating, and reviewing on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. You can also follow me on social media for daily inspiration. Head over to my website, jamieberris.com, to sign up for weekly transformation tips. Or if you're interested in coaching, I currently have 3 openings for one-on-one coaching. If you're looking for an empowering community, we'd love for you to join us in the Transformation Tribe, our group coaching membership. More info available on my website under the Life Coaching and Membership tabs. One last thing, I'm rooting for you. Be real, be raw, be authentic.